welcome to Kaylee Daily, the weekly podcast about doula tips and tits. I am Kaylee Harrod, your host. I am a doula and a childbirth educator and the creator and author of the Birth Prep Blueprint, which is holistic, comprehensive childbirth education that's entirely virtual and focuses on trauma-informed care and diversity of bodies and informed decision-making. So I am talking today about the question, what do you do about morning sickness? So first, what is morning sickness? Because you guys know by now I can't just answer the one question. That'd be way too easy. Morning sickness is a feeling of nausea that, spoiler alert, lasts all day, not just in the morning for many people. Oftentimes it's experienced in the first trimester. Many people believe it's because of the spike in progesterone. But your body's going through a lot in the first trimester. And so that is when it is primarily experienced. However, some people continue to have it throughout pregnancy, which is so fun. I continue to be convinced that the person who named it morning sickness did not, in fact, ever experience it, because it is not only in the morning for most people. So what it is and what to do about it. So are two things I want to talk about. And also, when would you think it would maybe go away? So it is typically nausea. It does sometimes lead to actual vomiting. And so that is an issue with dehydration sometimes. If you are vomiting a lot or can't keep anything down, definitely that is a time to seek medical attention from your provider. Be in touch with your provider if it is persistent to the point that you can't eat or drink on a regular basis, or that you're losing weight, or that you're just like so incredibly miserable, you want something to help. There are sometimes supplemental things you can do. Sometimes you need some saline, like an IV of saline, but definitely not something to mess around with if you are really not able to eat and drink. Now, a lot of folks find that actually eating adequately does help with the morning sickness, but it's so counterintuitive, because really most forms of nausea in our life require us to not eat, or make us feel like not eating, or make us feel like if we throw up, it's going to feel better, because if it's a stomach virus and you get that sucker out of your system, it does typically make you feel better. But that is not the case with morning sickness. So I want to just remind you that eating especially small amounts of protein throughout the day, especially starting early in the morning, not skipping breakfast at all, can be really, really beneficial for people dealing with morning sickness. Now, because it is usually a first trimester thing, typically by 12 or 13 weeks, we see that it has calmed down quite a bit. Not always, of course. Some people have it for much longer than that. But again, if you're having it for much longer, or if it's super persistent to the point that you cannot keep anything down, please do talk to your provider. Or if you're just needing some support, right? Talk to your provider. That's what providers are for. So get some support from them if you're feeling like you need it. Some of the things that I have seen help, besides just eating and having protein, are electrolytes. So drinking things that you would think about drinking if you had a stomach bug. Things like coconut water, Gatorade, electrolyte tablets that you add to water. Those sorts of things are really helpful for just replenishing you when you are slightly dehydrated. Those are also amazing for labor, just FYI. The other thing that some people find really helpful is acupressure or acupuncture. And they actually sell a product called C-bands, which are they're a band that put acupressure on a wrist point. That is helpful for nausea. It's also helpful for seasickness. And so those can be really helpful. Things like ginger tend to be helpful for some people. Some people do it in the form of like a ginger chew. Some people do it in the form of a ginger like lollipop. Some people just make ginger tea, but whatever kind of works for you along those lines. Ginger tends to be a good thing to calm down the stomach in general. And then mints are another thing that a lot of people like. So like spearmint tea or peppermint tea tend to be something that people enjoy. Well, I don't know if I'd say enjoy, but that sometimes help when you're dealing with morning sickness. So keep in mind that if you're dealing with morning sickness now, or all day sickness, as I'm going to call it, likely it will end at the end of the first trimester. The second thing to remember is that eating is really important. So try to still eat, even if you don't feel like eating, eating especially high protein things. And it doesn't need to be a really high quantity. Like start out with eating a couple almonds or a couple cashews or something, right? And obviously find a protein that is safe for you, that you enjoy. And then being really smart about the hydration that you're getting, so that you're getting plenty of electrolytes and your fluids are not running too low. You're not bordering on dehydration. And then do reach out to your provider. Don't assume it's normal if it's really severe or it's just taking over your life. Like if you can't do your normal day-to-day things, then you need to talk to your provider and make sure that it's not a bigger problem and that it is in fact just morning sickness. Okay. So remember that this is not medical advice. This lovely podcast is educational and entertainment only, and for medical advice, please talk to your medical team. And I would love for you to subscribe so that you find out about all the new episodes that are coming out. You can now watch this in video on YouTube, listen to it as a podcast on all different kinds of podcast channels, or read it as a blog on my site. So all three of those options are available to you, whichever works best for your life. I would love for you to use it, and then send me your questions. I still have a crazy long list of questions that I can answer, but I would love to hear what your questions are and how I can answer them for you. So that's the end of this episode, and I will see you again next week.